Dissolution Committee for the former Board of the Dallas County Schools Trustees in session. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. I got to turn on our speaker here. Good morning, members. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being here today. I don't know, it seems like we had a spring break, but it's gone, and some of us took ski trips and other trips, but in any event, I'm glad to see everyone here today. I don't think that we have any new appointees that need an oath this morning. Everybody, I think, has been appropriately sworn in, so we'll move right into action items. Action item 4A is to consider approval of our minutes for the meeting that was held March 26, 2018. Any corrections or additions to the meeting? Anybody like to move approval? George moves approval. Mr. Scott moves approval of the minutes. Second, Mr. City, all in favor? Say aye. Opposed, same sign. The minutes have been approved. And we'll move on to item 4B, which is to consider approval of the sale of Beckley property. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. At the last meeting, you approved a sale price of $3.8 million. The bidder advised us they made a calculation error when they submitted the bid based on the square footage they used in the calculation. Staff has reviewed the documentation they submitted. We believe it was, in fact, an error, and we'd recommend that you accept the bid with a recalculated number of $3.3 million from the same bidder.
I think if I read correctly, that's still higher than the other bids that were submitted. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Move approval. Motion's been made to approve by Dr. Hinojosa.
Second.
Where the second came from Kelly Spencer. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item C is to consider approval of the bus distribution method. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. We've inventoried all our buses. We've submitted our buses to our component district to re-verify the inventory, and we're ready to distribute the buses as shown on pages 28 to 144. And we'd recommend your approval to distribute the buses to the component districts as shown in these pages after we're finished using the buses and after we get a court ruling on our declaratory judgment.
This is asking the board to approve a method. This is not asking for final action. It is the method that would be used, which would basically, as Mr. King said, go into effect once we have received a final word on declaratory judgment. Any questions on that? Yes, sir. Greg.
So, Mr. King, so the way that I read this, and I could be reading it wrong, is if there's 4 component districts using Pat Rainey right now, will those assets be distributed as those component districts don't need service for the summer, or for all component districts using that service center to be divided up?
This particular item is only addressing the buses. So we've got the buses that have been assigned to your district, which y'all have gone out and counted and verified. So right now, we're only talking about the bus distribution. Right now, we have another task where we've sent it to each of our component districts, asking you to verify the other inventory, which is, parts, supplies, copiers, and white fleet. And that item we're not ready to take action on yet because we have not got verification from our component districts that the inventory is correct.
So if Lancaster ISD stops using the buses in June, they'll be distributed after that fact, or will they wait until all the buses at that service center stop being used?
It's going to be as soon as we're finished with the component district. So you don't have summer school or we're not using you for summer school. We'll distribute the buses to you as soon as we're finished with that, as long as we have the declaratory judgment approved.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I think we had the motion and the second, did we not, on that, or do we not have a motion and a second on that distribution method? Mr. Buchanan makes a motion to approve the distribution method. Second, Mr. Dransfield. Who else got a second over here? Bobby got a second on that. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. And again, that's a method that we will use pending some other action that needs to be taken. 4D is to consider approval to extend the year-end close. Mr. King.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I need to ask the attorney if I need to recuse myself on this. This is a bid process. Dallas bid, but a lot of other districts did too. Do I need to recuse myself on this?
Is that on the year-end close or?
No, this is on White Fleet.
Yeah,
not
I
yet.
think we're doing year-end close.
Oh, okay, my apologies, my apologies.
We'll go ahead on year-end close, and we'll get an answer on that question right after we take a vote on this. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. When we did the initial survey, I think we talked about it last time, that our districts initially told us the last day they need summer school is going to be July 20th, so we set a year-end date of July 31st. That would give us a few days to close out. Now we've got service needed up until sometime in August, but we're still recommending that we close on July 30th, 31st with service, and we've shut down everything on August 15th so we can get out of here before school starts. So there'll be a few days that the component districts are either going to have to find another way to serve, adjust their summer school, or do something different. But we recommend extending the year-end date to July 31st for services, and then give us a few days, 15 days, to pay all the debt, pay all the payroll, pay everything we got going, and hopefully end everything around August the 15th. And we'd recommend extending the date in that fashion.
Comments, questions, motions? Mr. White's made the motion to approve the recommendation.
Second.
Second made by Ms. Hayes, our vice chair. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion has passed, and we have extended approved the extension of the year end. Do we get to vote on whether to extend the life of the committee or not, or just the year end, huh? The next item, Mr. Thompson, do you want to offer an opinion on Mr. Hinojosa, Dr. Hinojosa's question before I take up that item?
Mr. Chairs, I think we have 3 districts that bid and are on the list to potentially get part of the award based on their bids on this item, and I think it would be appropriate for those 3 to abstain from voting on this matter.
Okay.
So that you're not voting on your own as well.
Does that help? Okay. Then the item is to consider approval of the sale of the White Fleet. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. We had 30 vehicles in the White Fleet, which are not currently located at a service center. They're basically out here in the parking lot. We offered those to bid for our component districts. We received 18 bids. We all think the price is reasonable. So we recommend accepting these 18 bids. The other 12 vehicles we did not get bids on. We'll place on govdeals.com and take the best bid there. But we'd recommend accepting these bids for these 18 vehicles.
Any questions? Mr. King. Mr. Transfield moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Dr. Parra made the second. Any other questions, comments? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion's been approved for the approval of the sale of the White Fleet. We'll let the members rejoin us. Moving on to item 4F, which is to consider approval of budget amendment number 3. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. We're working our way through the general ledger right now, cleaning up old accounts which haven't been addressed in a number of years. And there's a $900,000 loss in the NCLB fund that's been there for a number of years. So we're recommending a budget amendment to cover that loss. It's already been deducted from fund balance, but I just need to transfer the cash. So this is the way I propose to do it, is increase this account so I can pay that $900,000 and clean that fund up. And basically, if we spend, after you approve this budget amendment, if we spend every penny that's in the budget and receive every penny that's in the budget, we'll have an operating deficit of $25 million and a year-end deficit of $9.2 million. But I would also point out that we're not going to spend every penny. We're not spending all the debt, which is $25 million, and we got $10 million worth of sale proceeds that are not here also. So, you know, although it shows a 9.2, that's if we spend every penny and receive every penny. But we'd recommend approval of this budget amendment so that I can clean out this particular fund.
Questions?
I have a question.
George?
What is this the No Child Left Behind program?
It's what they titled the fund, but what happened a number of years ago is they didn't have enough buses, so they went out and basically contracted with a bunch of different vendors to provide services almost door to door. They incurred an expense in the fund, but they never collected money to reimburse the fund.
I ask this all the time, are you getting close to the end of the surprises yet?
Well, we had already deducted this from fund balance, so we knew it was there. I still have, I'm working through the stop arm program, and the next meeting will be probably writing off $1 million worth of assets they have in the stop arm program that we don't believe we'll collect. So, you know, we got a receivable out there, $4 million we don't think we'll collect. So the next meeting will be addressing the stop arm fund.
We're on the budget amendment. Any other questions, comments on that?
Move approval.
Dr. Hinojosa moves approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. White, Mr. Scott. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The budget amendment, approval of Budget Amendment 3 has been approved unanimously. Move on to action item 4G. Consider approval to transfer radio frequencies to component districts. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. We've been working with staff and working with our component districts to get the radio system transferred so that they'll have service at the beginning of the year. And basically what this item, what we're going to request you to do is we're going to request you to allow us to transfer our repeaters and other equipment to Dallas ISD. And then Dallas ISD will be working with the component districts for interlocal agreements so that those component districts can have radio service through the tower we currently have on Bank of America. If you have any questions, Ray Lanou's here and he can address those for you, but we'd recommend approval of this dissolution of assets.
Any questions? David, you made some observations about perhaps the value of these frequencies. Is that something that the members should talk to you about?
Let's talk to you close.
Okay, all right. Any questions about this particular item?
Once again, should I abstain on this one?
David, the question is from Dr. Hinojosa about whether he should abstain on this item or not.
We're giving equipment to Dallas ISD.
And also transferring to all of the participating districts, right? So
The main thing is we're giving Dallas ISD the repeaters, and then they're going to work an interlocal agreement with the districts to serve this thing out.
Dr. Hinojosa, I think it probably would be good, since you are receiving something from the committee that is differentiated from what all the other component districts are receiving.
Now, did we get a motion? Mr. City's moved approval of the item. Second, somewhere over here from Dr. Parra. Any other comments, questions? All in favor, would you signify by saying aye? Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Dr. Hinojosa. The last action item is to consider approval of text pool resolution amending authorized representatives. Mr. King.
Yes, sir. We did have some idle cash from We had about $35 million in cash, so we've moved that money to tax pool, so we're earning 2% based on the one person we have authorized to do that. And we're requesting your approval to amend the resolution so that we have 2 more committee employees authorized to move money in and out of tax pool.
Are they getting 2% now?
Just a little bit under 2.
Okay, okay. Any questions? Comments?
Yes, on page 161, it's where my name is listed and the secretary is listed under it, which is not an accurate.
She's the vice chair,
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll get that corrected.
or I'll draw a line through it for you. In fact, I saw that last night too. Okay. Any other comments, questions? The item is for the approval of the text pool resolution. Motion by Mr. Buchanan,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Bowles. Any other comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. We're moving on to discussion items, and item A is future budgets. If I'd have seen that item 5 or 6 months ago, I wouldn't have understood it. But anyway, go ahead, Mr. King.
Yeah, yes, sir, I feel the same way. The committee is, as we've learned, we keep learning things as each day passes. So the committee, it appears now, is going to have to set a tax rate, adopt a budget, levy taxes, collect taxes, pay debt, and a few other functions through the balance of the tenure. And what we're going to do is, when we do get around to approving a budget and discussing a budget in a little more detail, is basically we'll divide the budget into 2 sections. There is a portion of the tax revenue that we can use. In other words, we'll have the tax, as I'm calling it right now, I didn't know what else to call it. We have the tax escrow fund. And what that is that's the amount of taxes that we collect, less the appraisal district fee, less the tax collection fee, and the debt that's going to be paid. So we can pay debt and those other fees out of that particular fund. So we're estimating right now it'll probably take 5 to 6 years to pay the debt. So all of our tax revenue will go to pay debt plus these 2 expenses. So that's how we'll pay those expenses. The expenses down here in the bottom section are sections that cannot be paid from tax proceeds, and what they will be paid from is what I'm calling escrowed reserve funds. So that's basically money we have left at year end that we haven't paid out, which is basically going to be derived from the debt we haven't paid, the sales that we're going to collect, and possibly some budget savings. So you can see that we're estimating about $25 million worth of payments that we're going to make during the next 5 years, which most of it is $13 million for debt, a little bit for July operating, and a little bit for August operating. So we're not going to be increasing the fees that you pay to us, but how we're going to cover these expenses between now and year end is from money we have left at the end of operations, or at the end of August 15th. And this is kind of a rough look at it, very rough, haven't spent much time doing it, but this is kind of where we think we're going to be 5 years from now. And if there's any questions, David and I have tried to address them.
You have a question on that? You want to talk about
I
that
do.
some?
I just want for clarification, please. Where it says the tax levy can only be used to pay debt, so component districts will be required to fund the needed operations until the debt is paid. Can you clarify what that sentence means as far as when this organization shuts down, there will be a budget created for this committee ongoing? Will there actually be additional funds that a component district might be required to pay for
No.
no services?
No, there will not. We're doing that from the reserves.
Good question. A good question, and I think a good answer, too. Don't think anybody is. But I do think that Mr. King has, as you all know, has certainly had challenges in trying to work through a conclusion with this, and also make sure that we are attempting to get a favorable judgment to get buses to the component districts lien-free and still keep some money aside for the necessary operations. Good question from Sandra, but I think that in talking with Mr. King and with our attorneys, I think the allowances have been made to get us there. Any other questions about the finance report? Or Alan, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, sir, I will say that we are going to have to adopt a budget prior to July 1, so probably at our meeting in June, we'll hopefully have it in a fashion where you can adopt a budget.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Not hearing any, I think we're ready to move on to the item 5B, claim settlement report.
Yes, sir, we have $38,000 worth of claims that we settled in our accident program from March 14th to April 9th. This doesn't require your approval, but this is something you requested that we report to you. If there's any questions, we'll be glad to try to address them.
Questions? On the claim settlement report? Hearing no questions, we'll move on to the information item, A, financial information. Alan?
Yes, sir, this is the normal financial statement which is prepared. Which is probably not normal is the amount of stuff that we have not been paying and we're holding till the end of the year to pay, which includes debt and some bills incurred by Dallas County schools. So it's kind of hard to trend this data. I will say that, our payroll budget is down, our payroll expenditures are down $20 million when compared to last year, and probably going to be substantially under what they had budgeted. So we're expecting to have a surplus in payroll due to reduced staff. If there's any questions, we'll be glad to try to address them.
Any questions? How much did you say again our payroll would be down?
Our payroll's down $20 million over last year, but we did lose 3 districts, Capel, White Settlement, and Weatherford. And our budget, we think our budget over last year was down about $10 million, and we think our payroll budget is going to be probably down about $6 to $8 million less than what we have in the budget.
Well, I know you're still losing staff.
Yes, sir.
And I know you're still, people are still interviewing and looking elsewhere, and I think you're still running buses every day and covering the routes, so we appreciate that very much. I think everyone recognizes that was job one, and I know that's been a huge challenge. And doing that while still reducing the payroll, even with the other districts coming off, I think is pretty significant. Again, any other questions or comments on financial information? Not hearing any, we will move into executive session. Executive session will be held for purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, including but not limited to Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property, 551.074, personnel matters. We are moving into executive session at 10:23. We are moving back into open session. We ended closed session at 11:26. We've had consultation with our attorneys. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Dissolution Committee approve and ratify all actions related to the declaratory judgment cause number DC 1804952 as discussed with legal counsel in executive session.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Members, our next meeting now will be scheduled for May 21st. We also have a meeting scheduled for June 11th, and we did have a June 25th meeting on our schedule. There are a number of you that have conflicts, I know, because of the TASA Summer Conference and some other conferences that are going on. So we'll try to have a meeting on June the 11th and then another meeting on July 9th. And then we'll evaluate where we are then and what future sessions may be needed. Appreciate all of you coming today. Thanks for your contributions. Those of you, the member districts, thank you for your work with Mr. King. And Mr. King, thank you for your work in trying to make sure that we get the kids transported safely. I think, would you say 25 more days?
Yes, sir.
Well, good luck, and I hope we can get that done, and I'll look forward to seeing all of you on May 21st. We stand adjourned.